Hey 49ers faithful, welcome back to the channel, your home for everything San Francisco 49ers. If you breathe red and gold, you're in the right place. Now, before we dive into the latest updates shaking up the Bay, make sure you're subscribed so you never miss a single piece of breaking news, trade talk, or insider buzz about our Niners. All right, let's get right into it, because there's plenty going on behind the scenes, especially as this team continues to gear up for the playoff push and explore possible additions that could make a difference down the stretch. Let's start with one of the most interesting names still floating around the free agent market, defensive tackle Christian Wilkins. When you first hear that name, you probably think of his dominant days with the Miami Dolphins. He was a beast in the trenches, disruptive, and full of energy. Then he landed that massive deal with the Las Vegas Raiders, which at the time seemed like a big win for them. But all went downhill quickly. Wilkins managed to appear in only 5 games last season before that foot injury completely derailed his year. The Raiders were reportedly frustrated, pushing for surgery on what's believed to be either a Liz Frank issue or a Jones fracture. Wilkins didn't want to go through with the procedure, and that decision, along with some off-field whispers about locker room tension, scared a few teams away. No visits, no official workouts, just silence. And yet, when this guy is healthy, he's a monster. We're talking about a player who racked up 9 sacks back in 2023 with Miami, 4.5 the year before, and 3.5 the year before that. His ability to create pressure from the inside is rare, and if he's anywhere near full strength, he could absolutely help a team like San Francisco. Still, with his current injury situation and that uncertainty around his recovery, I'd stay cautious if I were John Lynch. Now let's move to another big name, Justin Simmons. This one really catches your attention because he's not just talented, he's proven. A multiple-time All-Pro, an established veteran who's been one of the most consistent safeties in football for years. Last season, things didn't quite work out with the Atlanta Falcons, but to be fair, that entire organization was a mess. They were dead last in sacks, dead last in pressure percentage, and they allowed more passing touchdowns than anyone else. So, of course, that made the secondary look worse than it really was. Simmons might not be in his prime anymore at 31, but he's still got plenty left in the tank. With how inconsistent the 49ers safety group has been this year, adding someone like Simmons could bring instant stability. Marquise Seagull, Jason Pino, Jair Brown, and Malik Mustafa have had their flashes, but overall, the safety play has been below expectations. Simmons could immediately raise the bar with his leadership, football IQ, and experience in big moments. Then there's Asani Samuel Jr., one of the most intriguing free agents on the market right now. This is a young, high-level cornerback who's finally been cleared to return after spinal fusion surgery earlier this year. He's now back to full football activity and ready to sign somewhere. ESPN has already reported that he's been in touch with several teams. And here's the exciting part. He's set to visit the 49ers on Monday. That's right. The son of the former Patriots and Eagles star cornerback Asani Samuel could soon be in the Bay. Before his injury, Samuel Jr. was one of the most productive young corners in the game, posting double-digit pass breakups every single season. He's got elite instincts, great ball skills, and that competitive edge you love to see in a defensive back. Even with the emergence of guys like Diameter Leonard, who continues to be one of the league's most underrated corners, and Upton Stout, who's developing fast, the idea of adding Samuel Jr. to this group is exciting. Ronaldo Green has had some tough moments, but he's held his own. Still, depth at cornerback is always critical, and bringing in someone like Samuel Jr. could be the move that takes this secondary from solid to scary. Now, speaking of experience, how about Stephon Gilmore? The veteran corner is still available. And yes, he's not the same player who won Defensive Player of the Year back in 2019, but he remains a reliable option. At 35 years old, Gilmore has been through it all, from being an All-Pro in his prime to now playing more of a stabilizing role for young secondaries. Last season with the Minnesota Vikings, he notched 9 pass breakups, following seasons of 13 with Dallas and 11 with Indianapolis. That's consistency no matter where he goes. For a team like San Francisco, which always values experience and leadership in its locker room, he could be a great fit if they want another veteran presence on the back end. And then there's a familiar name, Eric Kendricks. Remember when he nearly signed with the 49ers last year before switching to Dallas at the last minute? Well, the veteran linebacker had a solid season with the Cowboys, putting up 138 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, and 2 interceptions under Mike Zimmer's system. The guy is a tackling machine and knows how to command a defense. The Niners linebacker group is young and promising with players like Tatum Bethune and D. Winners, and there's always the hope that Nick Martin gets more snaps soon. But in the event of an injury, or if the team just wants to add more experience for a playoff run, Kendricks would be a smart, low-risk move. Another name worth mentioning is Jalani Tavai Bentley, who's coming off an injury-plagued year, but had been productive for several seasons prior. He was a consistent double-digit tackle guy before missing most of last year. And while he's not a flashy player, he's dependable and strong against the run. The same goes for Josey Jewell, who's been an underrated off-ball linebacker his whole career. He had 97 tackles and 7 tackles for loss last season with Carolina, adding 3.5 sacks and 7 pass breakups. Solid production from a guy who just knows how to play. Looking at the cornerback market again, Kendall Fuller stands out. A former third-round pick who's played for Washington, Kansas City, and most recently Detroit, Fuller has been quietly effective for years. His 2023 season included 9 pass breakups in 15 games, following up seasons of 16 and 13 in Washington. He's versatile, experienced, and could bring that steady hand San Francisco might need if injuries continue to pile up. Edge rusher Shaquille Barrett is another player still waiting for a new home. He's had an incredible journey, from undrafted out of Colorado State to becoming one of the league's premier sack artists with the Buccaneers. His 2019 season, when he posted 19.5 sacks, was legendary. And while he hasn't hit those heights again, he remains a dangerous pass rusher with championship experience. In 2021, he still managed 10 sacks and played a big part in Tampa Bay's success. He might be a better fit for a 3-4 scheme, but the idea of pairing him with Nick Bosa off the edge is pretty tempting. When it comes to wide receivers, there's always speculation, but DJ Chark is one name floating around. He's not as explosive as he once was, but he's a former Pro Bowler who surpassed 1,000 yards back in 2019. The Niners' wide receiver room is deep, but with Brandon Ayuk's future always a hot topic and Jacob Cowing battling multiple hamstring injuries, you can never say never. Chark could be an emergency option if injuries continue to hit that position. And finally, James Bradberry. The veteran corner had an all-pro season in 2022, playing alongside Darius Slay for the Eagles, but last year was rough. He struggled with tackling and didn't look the same, though he still managed 13 pass breakups. Philadelphia even experimented with him at safety during training camp, but injuries derailed his rhythm. Still, when healthy and in the right system, Bradberry's experience could be valuable to a team that needs depth and leadership in the secondary. These are just a few of the names that could make sense for San Francisco as the team looks to fine-tune the roster and build momentum for another deep playoff run. The Niners are always one of the smartest front offices in football, and with their track record of turning veterans into contributors, any of these moves could turn out to be another classic example of that. As we keep breaking down the free agent landscape and how it might impact the 49ers down the stretch, one thing becomes clear. This front office never stops looking for ways to strengthen every layer of the roster. San Francisco has built a culture where competition is constant, and even in November, they're evaluating every possible piece that could add value for a playoff run. That's why so many of these names still floating around the market are worth keeping an eye on, because all it takes is one right fit to make a difference in a Super Bowl caliber team like this one. Gus Edwards, for example, is a running back who doesn't get talked about enough. Last season with the Baltimore Ravens, he ran for over 800 yards and punched in 13 touchdowns. He's not flashy, but he's powerful, reliable, and brings that downhill running style that wears down defenses late in games. With Christian McCaffrey leading the way, San Francisco obviously doesn't need another star running back, but having depth behind him has always been part of the 49ers' formula for success. Injuries happen, and when they do, Kyle Shanahan likes having someone who can step in and keep the offense balanced. Edwards could be one of those players who quietly adds real value if the opportunity ever came up. Then there's Isaiah Simmons, a former first-round pick who entered the league as one of the most fascinating prospects of his draft class. Coming out of Clemson, he was known as a freak athlete, part safety, part linebacker, part edge rusher. But since then, no team has truly figured out how to use him. He's bounced between the Cardinals and the Giants, shifting roles, and never quite settling into a single identity. Still, you can't ignore the potential. He's fast, strong, and versatile, and in a creative defensive system like the one Steve Wilks has built in San Francisco, maybe he finally becomes the hybrid weapon he was meant to be. Imagine Simmons rotating into sub-packages, dropping into coverage one play, and blitzing the quarterback the next. That kind of versatility could be exactly what keeps opposing offenses guessing. Jamal Williams is another player who could make an impact on the right roster. Everyone remembers his breakout season with Detroit when he led the entire league in rushing touchdowns. What stands out most about Williams isn't just his production, it's his energy. He's got that contagious fire, that attitude that uplifts everyone in the locker room. San Francisco already has one of the tightest-knit rosters in football, but adding another vocal, passionate veteran never hurts, especially in the grind of the second half of the season. Looking at the defensive backfield again, there's Vonn Bell, one of the hardest-hitting safeties in the NFL. He's played meaningful football for years, first with the Saints, then with the Bengals and the Panthers. Bell brings toughness, discipline, and playoff experience, and he's known for being one of those players who can help set the tone physically. That kind of presence can change the dynamic of a defense, especially one that thrives on intensity like the 49ers. When it comes to wide receivers, Odell Beckham Jr.'s name still carries weight. A few years ago, you could argue he was one of the most electrifying playmakers in football. The one-handed catch against Dallas, the big playoff moments with the Rams. He's had some legendary highlights. But after multiple ACL injuries and a lot of time away from the field, no one really knows how much juice he has left. He had a short stint in Miami last year and flashed at times, but that explosive burst that once made him unstoppable just hasn't been there consistently. Still, if you're a team chasing a championship and you need a mid-season spark, a player like OBJ could bring energy, veteran savvy, and maybe a few big plays in crucial games. Another receiver to mention is Nelson Agholor. He's not a superstar, but he's reliable, experienced, and has a Super Bowl ring from his days with the Eagles. He's played with Lamar Jackson, with Derek Carr, and he's earned a reputation for being a professional who understands his role. For teams that value leadership and consistency, he's always been the kind of player coaches trust. Then there's the curious case of Cam Smith and Louis Cine, two young defensive backs who entered the league with sky-high expectations. Smith, a recent draft pick, has the physical tools but just hasn't found the right opportunity yet. Cine, a former first-rounder out of Georgia, looked like a future star during his college days, but injuries and inconsistent play derailed his development. For a team like San Francisco, known for reviving careers and maximizing potential, these are exactly the types of players who could benefit from the Niners system. With the right coaching and structure, you never know which one of them could turn things around. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to 49ers Zone and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the San Francisco 49ers. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. In a move that has sent shockwaves through the NFL, sources suggest that the San Francisco 49ers are eyeing a blockbuster acquisition. Budda Baker, the star safety of the Arizona Cardinals. While nothing has been officially confirmed, whispers around league circles hint that discussions could be heating up, potentially reshaping the defensive landscape of the NFC West. Baker, known for his fearless tackling and playmaking instincts, has long been a thorn in the side of opposing quarterbacks. His ability to read plays, deliver punishing hits, and cover the field with uncanny agility has made him one of the most respected safeties in the league. Rumors now suggest that the 49ers, who have been aggressively pursuing upgrades to bolster their secondary, see Baker as the perfect centerpiece for a defense that has flirted with dominance but often fallen just short of greatness. Insiders claim that the Cardinals, despite their efforts to build around Baker, could be open to the idea of a trade if the return is right. San Francisco, always strategic in leveraging their cap space and draft capital, might be preparing an offer that Arizona would find impossible to refuse. While fans from both sides are holding their breath, social media has already exploded with speculation, memes, and hot takes, painting a picture of a blockbuster trade that could redefine the rivalry between these NFC West powerhouses. The potential fit is tantalizing. Imagine Baker patrolling the backfield at Levi's Stadium, his relentless energy adding a new dimension to a 49ers defense already loaded with talent. For the Cardinals, losing Baker would be a gut punch, but could also free resources to chase new prospects and retool their roster in unexpected ways. Analysts are already debating the impact on both teams' playoff chances, suggesting that if this deal comes to fruition, the ripple effects could be felt across the entire league. As always with NFL rumors, caution is advised. Deals like this often teeter on a knife's edge, swayed by agent negotiations, medical reports, and last-minute executive decisions. But for now, the chatter is impossible to ignore. The 49ers might just be making their boldest statement of the season, and Budda Baker could be the spark that ignites a new defensive era in San Francisco. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the San Francisco 49ers, make sure to subscribe to 49ers Zone and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.